Have you ever wondered if stupidity is more dangerous than evil itself? Not just ignorance, not just a lack of knowledge, but a force so deeply entrenched in society that it resists reason, defies logic, and perpetuates destruction without ever being questioned. What if I told you that stupidity is not just a personal flaw, but a collective disease? One that spreads silently, infecting minds, shaping history, and enabling the worst atrocities known to humanity, not through malice, but through mindless compliance. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian and resistance fighter against the Nazis, developed a theory that should terrify us all. He believed that stupidity wasn't just a failure of intelligence. It was something far more insidious, a kind of social and psychological condition, one that renders people incapable of critical thought, immune to self-reflection, and dangerously easy to manipulate. Evil, he argued, is recognizable. It has intent. It can be confronted. But stupidity wears a smile. It blends in, it obeys. And that makes it a far greater threat than outright malice. Stupid people are not necessarily those with low intelligence. They can be highly educated, well-spoken, even in positions of power. But they share one thing in common: an active resistance to thinking, a refusal to question their beliefs, examine their actions, or entertain the possibility that they might be wrong. And this is why stupidity is so dangerous. Unlike ignorance, which can be corrected with knowledge, stupidity actively blocks new information. It rejects facts that challenge comfortable illusions. It replaces curiosity with certainty. And certainty, when left unchecked, turns into blind faith, into obedience, into a force that enables the worst kinds of tyranny. Bonhoeffer saw this firsthand in Nazi Germany. Ordinary people, shopkeepers, teachers, bureaucrats, weren't driven by sadistic cruelty. They weren't monsters. They were simply obedient. They accepted orders. They stopped thinking. The most horrifying part? They believed they were doing the right thing. They weren't evil. They were thoughtless. Bonhoeffer warned us about this exact phenomenon. He saw how masses of otherwise decent people could be led into supporting the most unimaginable horrors, not because they were driven by hatred, but because they simply followed the crowd. They surrendered their ability to think critically in exchange for the comfort of certainty, the ease of obedience. And that is how history repeats itself. Not because evil people seize control, but because ordinary people refuse to resist. But Bonhoeffer didn't stop there. He pointed out something even more chilling. Stupidity thrives in power. Think about it. The higher a person rises in a system of authority, the less they are questioned, the less they need to justify their decisions. The more they surround themselves with people who agree, who reinforce their views, who protect them from ever having to admit fault. And slowly, the powerful become trapped in an echo chamber of their own stupidity. Their world shrinks. Their thinking narrows. They start to believe in their own infallibility. They stop listening. They stop learning. And once that happens, the consequences can be catastrophic. Because power, combined with stupidity, creates a force that is utterly impervious to reason. It cannot be argued with because it does not engage. It does not self-correct. It bulldozes forward, blind and deaf, crushing everything in its path. Bonhoeffer's theory reveals a terrifying truth. The most dangerous people in the world are not the ones who plot and scheme. They are the ones who obey without question. They are the bureaucrats who file the papers, the police officers who enforce unjust laws, the followers who echo slogans without understanding them. They are not driven by hatred or cruelty. They are simply caught in the current, too intellectually passive to resist, too mentally complacent to question. And history shows us where that leads. Hannah Arendt, a German-American political theorist, took Bonhoeffer's ideas further when she introduced the concept of the banality of evil. Her analysis of Adolf Eichmann, the Nazi official responsible for organizing the logistics of the Holocaust, revealed something chilling. Eichmann wasn't a monster. He wasn't a sadist. He wasn't even particularly hateful. He was a bureaucrat, a man who followed orders, a man who never stopped to think about what he was actually doing. He didn't see himself as evil. He saw himself as efficient, competent, a good worker. And that is the true face of evil in the modern world. Not the villain twirling his mustache, plotting destruction, but the ordinary person sitting at a desk, signing papers, following protocols, executing orders, without once stopping to ask, is this right? Arendt's study of Eichmann exposed a horrifying reality. Evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like normalcy, like bureaucracy, like routine. This is why authoritarian regimes don't need to recruit armies of bloodthirsty villains. They just need enough people to stop thinking, enough people to accept slogans instead of arguments, to nod along instead of questioning, to turn away instead of speaking up. And that's exactly how stupidity becomes an unstoppable force. But it doesn't just exist in totalitarian regimes. It's here, right now in our daily lives. It's in the way people accept political lies without question. It's in the way social media turns complex issues into meaningless sound bites. It's in the way people repeat opinions they've been fed rather than forming their own. It's in the way society rewards obedience, punishes dissent, and conditions people to fear the discomfort of independent thought. And this is why stupidity is so persistent. Because thinking is hard, questioning is uncomfortable. It's much easier to be certain, to follow the script, to go with the flow. But here's the real question: how do we break free? Because if stupidity is this powerful, if it's this deeply embedded in society, then resisting it isn't just a personal choice, it's a moral obligation. So how do we guard against this force? How do we wake up from the sleep of thoughtless obedience? That's what we're about to explore. Escaping stupidity isn't just about intelligence. It's about resistance. Resistance against the easy, against the automatic, against the pressure to conform. Bonhoeffer, Arendt, and Russell all pointed toward the same solution. Critical thinking is a form of rebellion. In a world that rewards ignorance, questions become weapons. In a society that demands conformity, independent thought is an act of defiance. And if stupidity is the fuel that powers oppression, then intelligence, the kind that is active, questioning, unafraid, is the antidote. So how do we cultivate it? How do we build a mental immunity against stupidity? Step 1. Destroy your certainty. If you are absolutely sure about something, stop, challenge it. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Where did this idea come from? Could I be wrong? Stupidity thrives in absolute certainty. The moment you stop questioning, you become its hostage. This doesn't mean living in a state of endless doubt, paralyzed by indecision. It means understanding that knowledge is never final, that reality is complex, that truth is something you must constantly pursue, not a trophy you win once and display forever. Bertrand Russell warned about this exact danger. He saw that modern society rewards those who present simple, confident answers, even when those answers are wrong. Because certainty is comfortable, it's easy to sell, but certainty without thought is just well-dressed stupidity. So train yourself to lean into uncertainty. Seek out arguments that challenge your perspective. Engage with ideas that make you uncomfortable. Because if you never feel challenged, if you never question your own beliefs, you aren't thinking. You're just repeating. Step 2. Break out of the echo chamber. Stupidity is contagious. It spreads in closed circles, in communities that reinforce the same ideas, in environments where dissent is seen as a threat. Social media has made this worse than ever before. Algorithms don't show you what challenges you. They show you what you already agree with. They feed your biases, insulate you from opposing viewpoints, and create a digital world where stupidity flourishes unchecked. If you only consume information from one source, if you only surround yourself with people who think exactly like you are in a cage, and you might not even realize it. The cure? Expose yourself to different perspectives. Read books by people you disagree with. Follow news sources outside of your comfort zone. Engage in conversations where you aren't the smartest person in the room. Because if your ideas are strong, they can withstand challenge. And if they crumble under scrutiny, then maybe they weren't worth holding on to in the first place. Step 3. Learn to embrace complexity. Stupidity thrives on simplicity, on black and white thinking, on false dichotomies, good versus evil, us versus them, right versus wrong. These are easy ways to see the world, but they are also the most dangerous because they strip away nuance, flatten reality, and turn every debate into a battle between absolutes. Bonhoeffer saw this happen in Nazi Germany. People didn't think critically about what they were being told. They accepted simple narratives. These people are the enemy. This leader is our savior. This movement will restore order. And that is how nightmares begin. Because when people stop seeing complexity, when they reduce everything to a simplistic story, they become easy to control. The world is complicated. Every issue has layers. Every person carries contradictions. If you aren't willing to wrestle with complexity, you aren't engaging with reality. You're living in a propaganda fantasy. So don't accept simple answers. If something seems too easy, too obvious, too universally accepted, question it, dig deeper, refuse to be spoon-fed. Step 4. Develop intellectual humility. One of the most dangerous aspects of stupidity is the belief that you're immune to it. Russell pointed this out. It's not the ignorant who are the most dangerous. It's the ones who think they already know everything. Intelligence isn't about being right all the time. It's about being willing to be wrong, to admit when you don't know, to change your mind when confronted with better evidence. Stupidity is stubborn. It clings to outdated ideas, defends bad arguments, refuses to acknowledge mistakes. If you want to resist it, you need to do the opposite. You need to be flexible. You need to be teachable. You need to be more loyal to the truth and to your own opinions. So practice saying 3 powerful words, I don't know, and then follow them up with, but I want to find out. Step 5, recognize the social pressure to conform and resist it. Stupidity isn't just an individual failure, it's a system, a machine that rewards compliance and punishes critical thinking. It's easier to go along with the crowd. It's safer to stay silent. It's more comfortable to agree, to nod, to pretend you don't see the cracks forming. But history has shown us what happens when people choose comfort over courage. When they accept lies because the truth is inconvenient. When they follow orders because resisting takes effort. When they let stupidity go unchallenged because speaking up feels dangerous. And that's how darkness spreads. Not because evil is strong, but because the intelligent are too afraid to fight back. So choose discomfort. Choose courage. Choose to be the one who asks the hard questions. Because the greatest weapon against stupidity isn't intelligence, it's the willingness to use it. The final truth: stupidity isn't just a problem of the past, it's alive today, in politics, in social movements, in media, in daily life. It's in the way people embrace simple lies instead of complex truths, in the way obedience is rewarded over thoughtfulness, in the way society conditions people to be followers instead of thinkers. But the choice is always ours: to resist, to question, to think. Bonhoeffer, Arendt, and Russell gave us the warning. Now it's up to us to listen, because the battle against stupidity isn't fought once and won forever. It's a fight we have to choose every single day. So the question is, will you choose it? If you found this discussion eye-opening and want to challenge your thinking even further, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring you deep, thought-provoking content every day. And if you're ready to take your intellectual journey even further, check out the recommended books in the description below. Stay curious, stay engaged, stay critical. Until next time, keep thinking.